ladies. I want to tell you about a very special event that I'm holding this October. It's my live virtual event called Ignite Your Life, and I really want you to attend. This 3-day virtual experience is designed for smart, successful women just like you so that you can become your authentically beautiful self. You'll learn how to attract a high-quality man and propel you forward on the right path to love. This event is taking place October 14th through the 16th, and it will be the only event of its kind this year. I want you to join us and a whole community of really successful women for this transformative 3-day event where you're going to learn the unique process that will help you attract an amazing man who is completely enchanted by you. I'm also giving you a special gift because you're part of our amazing and supportive podcast community. For the first 50 women who sign up to go to Ignite Your Life from our podcast community, I'm giving you $20 off the ticket price. So to access this discount, use the promo code by typing the word IGNITE at checkout. You'll save your spot for just $77, but you must act quickly because these spots are filling up fast. So to register, go to IYLVIP.com or find the link in our show notes. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Chris Gillis. Girl, these are the basic mistakes you can't afford to make in the beginning. Ladies, oh my goodness gracious. We waited so long for the premiere of Bachelor in Paradise.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think, like you said, I'm pushing through. You messaged me, you're like, I'm pushing through. And I literally did the same thing. I was like, I've just got to get through this thing. But I think there are a lot of really good lessons actually in this show, in this episode. And I think it's really, really interesting. So I think the thing we've got a whole list. I mean, this is just literally like dating do's and don'ts. So let's start. We're not even going to comment on the quality of the show. We're just going to go right into what can you learn. Okay. So sharing your medical truth. I have been talking about this for so long. I call it the medical overshare. And it happened in the show. Like, I think in the episode, I can't remember the context of it's Hunter talking about her IBS with Johnny. And, I'm a fan of of course you want to be honest and you want to share these things, but in the appropriate context after someone knows who you are, rather than just saying I have this. Are you okay with it? Or bringing it up casually. I had a client once who was dating a guy and I tell this story all the time, but it's just the best example. They were at some fancy ass restaurant and he'd ordered gourmet macaroni and cheese. And he was like, oh, do you want some? And she said, no, thank you. And then she went into this whole story about her issue with cheese and congenital heart defects and her past. And he was just like, never mind. So what do you think about that?
Think that.
Do you remember how the conversation went up? I don't even remember how it came up.
Well, I remember how she spoke about it. And I think what I thought, I guess I wanted to talk about is, everybody has a different medical past, but sometimes I think, is it being honest or that's one thing to be honest about it. Hey, this is what I have, blah, blah, blah. But then sometimes there's it's this extreme ownership and identification through it. And you're like, oh man. And that's their shtick. Their identity is built on top of that, which is a turnoff.
Yeah. And it was so odd. She was like, yeah, that's what I'm known for. And also she had to, even in her little promo package, she was telling us the different kinds of IBS and she has both. And we're like, who are you? You're much more than that. And then I did think it was kind of cute. Johnny said something about oh yeah, I had a prostate exam when I was 15. I don't even understand that. Can you explain to the listener?
I got nothing. What? I don't know if that's legal.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. Was that legal? I feel like he didn't really share anything. He just said some weird thing and left all of us wondering. So I would just say generally, like, do not share major medical conditions like on the first date. And when you do like share it, like like Chris said, don't over-identify it. Talk about how you manage it.
Right.
I would not make it everything about you because you are not your IBS, Hunter. Okay, let's talk about, this is so good, age. It's really interesting because there's these two dudes that are like Bachelor in Paradise geriatric, like they're 38 and 37. And then we have Lace, who's 32. I do believe there's some other women on there who are in their 30s. A couple. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. They're not talking about it. It's my identifying.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting because Michael keeps saying, and he's the 38 years old, and he keeps saying, like, oh my God, I'm too old for this shit. Like, I'm too old for this shit. Joe makes a comment about it, maybe, but he doesn't like go on and on about it. How do you think that impacts them, and how did they handle it? Do you think that needs to be an issue? Last year, you know, your favorite was Kenny, who was 42.
Yeah, he was.
And he ended up with Mari, who was like 22 or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
They're still together.
Super old souls. My takeaway was, for good or bad, it's just interesting how we have these labels culturally that we take on, and then without, I think, kind of subconsciously identify and whatever belief that you're supposed to have because you're at whatever age. And unfortunately, and it was interesting how they got the, although Michael was aware, Joe didn't seem to be speaking about it all, but sad to see Lace just really, like, she was bummed versus like, fuck, I'm ready. I'm 32 years old now. I've been through some stuff. I've dated bad boys. I've never been more ready in my life, and said like, oh, I'm about to fall off the vine and become a ditch fruit.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting. And this is something that I think I don't want women to do, and other dating don't, which is she goes on this date with Logan. You know, she gets her ass out, like, which is good for her. Her friend comes, Shanae, and is like, come on, girl, like, let's go talk to boys. Like, you're amazing. Being at Shanae is trying to like not be Shanae, the character that she was played on Clayton season. And so Lace goes out there and she decides to make up a story. It's her birthday, whatevs. She gets a little cake. Her man she has her eye on is Logan. And she says, hey, do you want to come have this cake with me? I was like, at that point, I'm like, good for you. Playful, flirty, super cute. But then he sits down and he's like, this is cool. And they're having a little chat. And you can see him kind of being like, wait, I think she might be cute. Wait, I'm giving out the roses, like, maybe. And then all of a sudden, and this is what I don't want you ladies to do, and I know you do it, you totally transition into like interview. I got no time to waste. Like, this is what I want. Like, totally like masculine, aggro energy. And Chris, what do you think was going through his mind? Like, you can see his body language is just like, never mind. Check, please.
Yeah, I think it's. Wait, at which part specifically of that whole?
Well, you talk about like the guy's point of view from like the moment where she's like, "Hey, let's want to come have some of my birthday cake," and then what happens like as she starts launching into this aggro, like
Even her, now you're thinking about, mentioned even like her body, where she was situated, was in a dominant position, and he was laying down all, prostate, exposing his soft underbelly. And then she hit him with and I know girls do this all the time, or is that, do you even know how old I am? Or something to like really, like, just, I was like, are you trying to pick a fight? Or is that your way of asking how old I am? Because you're feeling like, how do you feel about your age? And, but that's how oftentimes some of these acceptable, that all perceived as fun and flirtatious on their side. It's, I know every time I ask my gal pals about there, they're always like, what? I was just asking. I'm just trying to have fun. Oh my God. Like, dude, that's not fun for anybody. You can see it in Logan's
You can see it in his eyes. Yeah. And it's like, I get like, and I want to be really clear because I'm all about women saying like, this is what I'm looking for, right? Like but the way, and this is why I think you all don't realize how much you're leaking your shit, is because the way she did it, right? Like, if we could do John Madden may he rest in peace, play by play, we'd be like, this is the moment where she goes like, well, I'm 32 and I'm looking for that. What about you? Like, I'm not here to play around. And then I love it. Logan goes, well, I'm 26. So I guess that's that basically.
Yeah.
Because what is he supposed to do with that?
I was muttering for you asked like what my other takes was. There was a whole process of like, dude, run, like whoever it is, like I just like she has that like just run away from her vibe. So I could see him like getting kind of closer, keeping an eye on the door, being comfortable with her, to look for an exit, and then being so happy that she almost gave him an exit with like basically, him inappropriately being his age.
And then he tries again, because you could see he's like trying to make like a bid for like a flirt where he's like, loose, like, hey, loose, and he's got this like, like he's trying to like get in and get her to soften up. Yeah. And then he, says her name incorrectly. And then she loses her shit. And again, sabotage. And what's really interesting is, and this is like, write this one down. Loose, aka Lace, she's going into this experience ruling out rather than ruling in. Right? She went into that being like, are you looking for what I'm looking for? Are you old enough? Are you now you got my name wrong. Fuck you. You're out. Right? Like, and unconsciously, some of you are going on dates being like, let me just find the reason why this guy is wrong or an asshole. And you may not be looking on purpose, but let men rule themselves out. Right? Rule them in until they rule themselves out. That was a great opportunity to see like, if she could have just said, oh man, my name is Lace, right? And just see how he handled it, right? Like there were so many learnings from old Lace. She reminds me of, and I don't know if you watched Bachelor in Paradise back in the day, but Claire Crawley, before she was Bachelorette, was on Bachelor in Paradise. And she
told me,
she was a nightmare. Person. She reminded me of Loose Lace.
Did she, over the years, did she change much? No.
No. Clearly,
happens, ladies.
Clearly
well,
not.
That's what happens.
Yeah, do the damn work. Okay, let's talk about setting boundaries, and like if a guy is dating other people, how he handles that with someone else, I think is a really good example of how does this guy handle conflict? So Romeo apparently has kissed Kira, like, when we're not even going to talk about the DMs and what went on, and they kissed in a club and all that. So we're not even going to go there. But the bottom line is that she kisses him. She has some kind of weird ownership on him, which I don't understand. And then he actually likes someone else, Jill, they're flirting. And she comes up and she's like, hey, and she walks away, like handle this shit. And Romeo like says, like, I'm obviously interested in you. I'm really going to tell Kira that I'm not interested. So she walks away again. And then the guy doesn't really do it very well. I think he could have been a lot more direct. What do you think?
I 100% agree. Yeah. And it's that, I guess, question is the art of telling people you're not interested in setting boundaries. That's always tough for me. Were you good at that? Were you good at breaking up with boys?
No, I always got broken up with pretty much, but pretty much. I mean, maybe later when I was dating, like with Dignity, I broke up, but earlier on, no. But I would have liked to break up with guys.
Mm-hmm.
No, because I felt like by the time I did, I was just like, we're not a match. Like I just knew. I was ruling them in until they ruled themselves out. And then it was just clear, But one thing that's interesting is I don't think that Jill needed to exit. Like, I don't think she needed to like walk away or run away every time she came up. Like a grown ass man would be like, and they do this all the time on the regular Bachelor shows or on Love Island, where they're like, hey, can I pull you for a chat? Right. And he could have said, no, I'm talking to Jill right now, but it's really good to see you. I'll talk to you later. So I don't think either of them handled it really, really super well.
No, I agree. Yeah, he's a more soft-spoken person. And Kira is just, she's a little sex robot sent from the future to do her thing.
Allegedly.
Allegedly playing that
I
role.
mean, she's the one who is like, trying to get validation of her self-worth through sex. And it's just so super unattractive. And she's just coming in hard. And I don't think that the guys are, and that's like such a important learning moment, right? Because if women make up the story that all that men want is sex, and therefore to get a guy, you just like be sexually aggressive or make it easy, then a guy is going to want to be with you long term. And what we hear on the man panel all the time when we have it at our events, guys are like, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to turn down a piece of candy, but like, I kind of start to think, who else are you doing this with, right?
Mm-hmm. What do you think about? Do you think that pertains to Serene? She's also very beautiful. From a similar look to Kira as well. Her Serene's very laser focused approach to Brandon, and she's thinking about him and staring at everyone's his online photos, which is pretty common nowadays. But do you think she kind of signaled that she's going to give the milk away for free too soon?
I
get over.
do. I really, really do. So I would say let's close the book on Kira and Jill and Romeo. Let's talk about Serene and Brandon. This is another great learning. I tell my clients, do not get too far deep into communication that is not face-to-face, aka DMs, texting, Snapchatting, whatever, whatever you're doing, because it creates this sense of like false, I call it pseudo-intimacy, where you are feeling like you're creating an intimate connection with someone, but like you've never actually met them. And I think there are a couple of these couples, and we'll talk about Andrew also in a minute, but they come in and they're like, hey, come, let's talk. And they're literally like so nervous. They have this whole story built up in their head about what this person's going to be like. They literally aren't even speaking. And they're like, and then they're kiss. And you're like, and they're like, let's just get married now. And everyone's watching. Oh, they're totally going to get engaged. What do you think about like that is like moving really fast? Now I get it's a show and like they want to get the rose and all of those things. But what are your thoughts on that?
On moving too quick, just rushing everything through.
Well, the like building this whole relationship on DMs or texting or emails or
absolutely, or comments on your photos or liking photos or didn't like a photo. That must paint that's a story about me too, right? When we have such I guess like you mentioned, I think we all truly crave that one-on-one, skin to skin bonding time. But when we don't do that, it is fascinating how I know I do, my friends who will cobble together stories on like just looking at someone's photos and who they are and build it through. Yeah. And especially when you like them, it's very, very dangerous to spend too much time. I have a question for you. So I totally agree. I think it's a brilliant and necessary. What are kind of the metrics for a person listening to this? They go, I wonder if I am spending too much time speaking with them, over likes and hearts and photos and quick little one-liners here and there versus actually being with them.
I think that at the beginning, you want to keep your communication informational and moving things along. Like I have the rule of thumb where you don't want to send any message that's greater than the tip of your thumb to the first joint, right? Because that's a conversation. And what I tell my clients is like, hey, this conversation is getting interesting. Let's save it for when we meet. Like, this is a great conversation to save for when we meet.
That's what you tell me every time we start the show, when we call before we press play and we start talking. You go, wait, this is really interesting. Let's save this for when we record.
I know, right? Because, and I think it's people hide behind that. And I think it's a really, it's a bad way. Well, let me say it this way. You're at risk of getting catfished and scammed and all this kind of shit. Like if somebody won't move it offline, then that's a problem. But people, and I did this when I was dating. Oh my God. And this was like a while back. I had a guy that I was dating, but I wasn't really dating him. I would like build this whole email connection and texting. And I went to go visit him in New York. And I got there and I thought he was going to be like amazeballs. And then he was completely a doofus. Like he was not my person. And I spent like 2 hours with him and I was like, I need to make other plans. Like,
so what weren't you
staying with him? But
I can't believe I just learned a story. What was missing and were you unable to get a sense of for those years you were on AOL, popping out those free little CDs so you could get another 10 hours of online to talk to Mr. Worldwide here in New York?
Oh my God. I mean, I remember talking on the phone to him. Like he was so dreamy. I thought like he had pictures. It was before FaceTime or Skype or Zoom or any of those things. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing. And I did that twice. I did that with another guy that I met who was from LA, but he was on vacation in Hawaii. And I've told this story so many times, but we were texting or whatever we were doing. And then I agreed to pick him up at the airport and I did a drive-by.
To make sure.
He didn't look anything like.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so I totally did a drive-by.
Driving by.
I did. Yeah.
Hold on. So you didn't quite answer my question. So I'm guessing, for guys, we're always, oh God, the girl used, Facetune and filters and she's completely different. But what are the not necessarily tangibles? What are the intangibles that you weren't, despite talking with him and looking at his photos and whatever, and writing tons of letters and getting to know his soul? Why was your love not blind, or what was it not able to see until you got with this, you met with the person? Well,
because first of all, you attribute, we talked about this when we watched Love is Blind and commented, right? Like you find these things that are in common and then you attribute like, a connection, and that may or may not be true. And what these couples are all going to find is it's easy to get to compatibility, and then there's going to be conflict, and we're going to see how you get back to compatibility. Right. And I always just want you like collect data, have fun, like be cautiously optimistic. And again, this show is in the context of this episode of them like, I need to nail this down or I'm going to, I'm going. I think that it's like, wow, I really, if I was coaching Serene, I'd be like, wow, Brandon's cute. Like so far, so good. Right. Like that was a great kiss. Keep yourself open, like talk to other guys, keep your funnel open, make them work for it a little bit, and see how it pans out. Is he really who he says that he is? Okay. So one last thing, because I have to keep it short today. We're like ABC. We went so over with all of our darn. Oh my God. And I spent so many hours of my life watching Bachelor, like investigative reporting about Gabby and Rachel. Yeah, it was bad. Oh. Anyway. Okay. The last thing. This is so funny. Can you let your freak flag fly? And be a successful professional. But so here's what I want to ask you. So I started watching F-Boy Island season 1.
Thank
and there's this,
you.
I know. Jesus. And there's this kid on there, Garrett, who's just such an F-boy. Yeah. But basically he's like, I like threesomes. I like foursomes. I like, flipping them upside down fivesomes, Yeah. And Kira on Paradise is like, I just want to fuck basically. And, and who knows what her situation really is. If you have a fetish or some sexual interest that is like a deal breaker for you, like when do you let that be known?
So, wow. Okay. So just I think we're going to go ask a different question. A fetish deal breaker for when? I think early on.
Right.
I'm thinking real early. Yeah. Very, very early. Then a couple dates. I guess first date to see if you do want to let your freak flag fly with them, or soon thereafter, 2 or 3 dates.
Yeah, and on F-Boy Island, Garrett's like he needs to be more direct, because my idea is, well, first of all, I hope Sarah votes him off, but I don't think she's going to be down.
You're in for a great treat.
I know, F-Boy Island.
And By the way, the guys I met on the beach here, they want to do podcasts. Yeah. You're watching them right now. Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait. Okay. I had to start with season 1. Yes.
What about, okay, you go ahead and give your rebuttal.
I was just going to say, like, I think if you have I think that's different than I have IBS. That's like, hey, like on the second date, I just want you to know, like, I have some pretty unusual sexual preferences. And like, I really want to have an honest communication about it because you just may not be down. And that means we're not a match. And I don't want to, waste each other's time. And so if that's you, go for it. Like, for sure. Just be honest about it. Like, own it. Right. I think there is a person for everybody. And so just be upfront about it. Okay. Well, that was a 2-hour episode. We have to have a short podcast. Chris is like, he's fiending to say one last thing.
Guys, what everyone at home is listening is the question that they want me to ask you, which is, what about for all these awesome, successful, badass gals you're coaching who, and are all buttoned up through the day wearing their 1 or a ½ inch high heel because they want to be respected because their job is very important. And they busted their ass, keep the profession. But the other side of the coin, they're also a female and they want to let their freak flag fly. Maybe they just got divorced. Maybe they're just ready just to embrace their sexuality and freedom because you open them up in so many magical ways. Can this be done? How can it be done? Public, there's cameras everywhere.
First of all, that's a whole conversation in itself. I think I bet we'll get to talk about it next week with Kira. But I think, yes, like we are so multidimensional as humans and as women, and we're multifaceted, and there's different ways that we express ourselves in lots of different ways. So the answer is yes, and we will.
To be continued.
We will continue it. It will be the most dramatic podcast episode ever. And by the way, Jesse Palmer, please get some pants that fit you. Those were a little bit too tight on the little tushy. Ladies, whatever you do, don't forget, life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP. That's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Batista, and let's talk soon.